Little black boy points at Cop and Cries Daddy. What the officer does next brings everyone to tears. It was just another long shift for Officer Carter. The sky was turning orange, and the air felt heavy as he left a suburban house. After a domestic disturbance call, he sighed, heading back toward his patrol car. But before he could even open the door, small footsteps slapped the pavement behind him. "Dad!" He turned around, confused. A little black boy, no older than 8, was running full speed toward him, tears rolling down his cheeks. Before Carter could react, the boy wrapped his arms tightly around his leg and wouldn't let go. "You're my dad," the boy cried out. "Mama told me to find you." Carter froze. For a second, the whole world went silent. He looked down. "What did you say?" "You're my dad," the boy repeated, his small hands gripping Carter's uniform like his life depended on it. A few people nearby started watching. Phones came out. Someone whispered, "Is that kid okay?" Carter knelt down, trying to stay. Hey buddy, I think you might be confused. I'm Officer Carter. What's your name?" "Elijah," the boy sniffled. "Mama said if anything happened, I should find you." Carter's heart thumped hard in his chest. "Where's your mom?" The boy looked down. "She's gone." Just then, a woman stepped out from a nearby shop, eyes wide. "I've seen that boy around," she said softly. "His mom, Vanessa Moore, I think. She died about 3 weeks ago. They found her in a motel room." Carter blinked. "What did you say her name was?" "Vanessa Moore," the woman said again. Carter's stomach dropped. That name hit him like a punch. He hadn't heard it in years. Vanessa. The name unlocked something in him. A memory. A smile in the rain. A hand slipping out of his. She was gone years ago, vanished without a word. And now here was this child, clinging to him, saying he was his father. "That's not possible," Carter whispered to himself. Elijah kept holding him, desperate. "Mama said you'd keep me safe. She said you're the only one who could." Carter didn't know what to say. He looked into the boy's eyes, dark, tired, terrified. A familiar face, but not his. Still, there was something in the boy's expression, something honest, something that shook Carter in a way nothing else had in years. His partner walked up, brows raised. "Everything okay?" "No," Carter said quietly, still staring at Elijah. "No, it's not." He gently pulled the boy's arms from his waist, but Elijah gripped tighter. "Please," the boy begged, "don't leave me." Carter stood there, torn, surrounded by whispers and stares. He should have walked away, but something in his chest told him not to. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Carter didn't sleep that night. He sat alone at his kitchen table, the same spot where he ate cold dinners and filled out reports night after night. But tonight, there was no food, no paperwork, just silence, and the weight of a little boy's voice echoing in his mind. "You're my dad?" He looked down at the photo in his hands. It was old, worn at the corners. Vanessa smiling, standing in the sunlight in front of that old bookstore she loved. She looked happy, carefree. Before everything changed, she hadn't said goodbye. 9 years ago, she just disappeared. One day she was there, the next, gone. No note, no call, nothing. Carter had searched for her at first, asked around, called every number he had. But time passed, and eventually he let her go. Until yesterday, until a child, her child, showed up calling him Dad. The next morning, Carter returned to the CPS office. Elijah sat in the corner of a small waiting room, knees pulled up to his chest. He looked up the moment Carter walked in. His face lit up, hopeful. Carter felt a pull in his chest again. The same feeling from the night before. He walked over and sat down beside the boy. "Hey," he said softly. Elijah didn't say anything. He just reached out and grabbed Carter's hand, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Where'd you sleep last night?" Carter asked. "Here," Elijah said. "They gave me a blanket." The boy looked tired, not just from sleep, but from everything. The social worker, a kind, middle-aged woman named Hannah, joined them. "We're trying to find any living relatives," she said. "But so far there's nothing. No grandparents, no aunts or uncles. His mother's file had almost no personal history." Carter frowned. "How is that possible?" "She listed no emergency contacts. She paid rent in cash. There's no school record under Elijah's name. We can't even find a birth certificate." Carter looked down at the boy. "What about his father?" "That's what we were hoping you could help with," Hannah said carefully. "He says it's you." Carter shook his head slowly. "Vanessa never told me she was pregnant. If she'd had a baby, I would've—" His voice trailed off. The social worker nodded. "We'll do a DNA test, just to be sure. But even if you're not his biological father, that doesn't mean you have to walk away." Carter didn't respond. Later that day, he sat on a park bench while Elijah played quietly nearby. The boy didn't run or laugh like the other kids. He just stared at the ducks in the pond, occasionally glancing back to make sure Carter was still there. It was like he'd already lost too much to believe anything good could last. "Can I ask you something?" Carter said finally. Elijah nodded. "Why'd your mom say to find me?" Elijah thought for a second. "She said if something happened, that you were the only one who could protect me, that you'd come." Carter swallowed the lump in his throat. "Did she ever tell you why she left?" The boy's eyes dropped to the ground. "Mama said she was scared. Said some people were looking for her." "Who?" "I don't know. But she said if the bad man ever came back." "I had to run." Carter leaned back on the bench, his mind spinning. Who was she running from? Why didn't she come to him? Why raise Elijah in the shadows? That night, Carter opened his old laptop and started digging. He searched every public record he could access. Vanessa's name came up in a few places. An apartment lease from 5 years ago, a hospital visit with no emergency contact, and a police report, a death report. Confirmed. Her cause of death. Apparent overdose. But the details didn't sit right with him. Vanessa was never into that. She hated needles. She hated pills. And yet, that's how she died? He clicked again. Toxicology. Screen. Heroin in her system. His jaw tightened. He opened a search window and typed in something else. Unexplained overdose cases. Motel room. Past 3 months. The results came fast and too many. Something wasn't right. Something didn't add up. The next morning, the DNA test was processed. Carter stood in front of the file on the screen. No match. He wasn't Elijah's father. But when he looked up and saw the boy sleeping in the chair across the room, curled up like a kitten in an old hoodie too big for him, something clicked. Carter didn't need a test to tell him what his heart already knew. The boy had no one. And someone had made sure of that. He wasn't just a lost child. He was part of something else. Something much bigger. And maybe something dangerous. Carter leaned back, hands in his lap, watching Elijah sleep. He wasn't going anywhere. Not now. Not ever. And whatever secrets Vanessa had buried, it was time someone dug them up. Because someone wanted this boy forgotten. And Carter wasn't going to let that happen. Carter couldn't stop thinking about it. He'd been a cop for 14 years. He'd seen a lot. But this was different. The DNA test had come back negative. Officially, he had no connection to Elijah. No legal responsibility. No reason to stay involved. And yet, every time he tried to walk away, he couldn't. Elijah wasn't just a case. He was a kid, alone, confused, holding on to the last thing his mother ever gave him. Carter's name. It was past midnight. Carter sat in the dim light of his living room, scrolling through public records again. He kept going back to Vanessa's toxicology report. Too clean, too precise. No signs of prior use, no paraphernalia at the scene. Just a woman alone in a motel room, found dead with needle marks. Except Vanessa had always been terrified of needles. He remembered that clearly. She used to laugh when nurses brought them near her, then immediately asked to lie down so she wouldn't faint. So what changed? He opened the folder he'd taken from the department archives earlier that day. Not technically by the book, but he needed answers, and he was starting to think the system wasn't going to help him find them. Vanessa's file was thin. No signs of addiction, no criminal record, no emergency contacts, and only one medical visit on record in the past year. It was a prenatal clinic. But the date was strange, just a year after she disappeared. That meant she'd been pregnant around the time she left him. Carter's stomach turned. Was that the child? Elijah? But the test had said otherwise, unless someone had tampered with it. He shut the file, leaning back in his chair. It was possible. But why? Why would someone go that far? What was the point? His phone buzzed. A message from Hannah, the CPS worker. We found something odd in Vanessa's apartment. You'll want to see this. The next morning, Carter arrived at the apartment complex where Vanessa and Elijah had been staying before her death. A tired building on the edge of the city, cracked sidewalks, faded paint, the smell of mildew in the air. Hannah met him at the door with a manila envelope. We cleared out the space. This was hidden behind a dresser drawer. Inside the envelope was a folded piece of paper, numbers, a lot of them. Long strings, written in Vanessa's neat handwriting. He stared at the paper. Coordinates? He asked. Hannah shrugged. We thought maybe bank routing numbers, or codes. Carter ran his fingers over the ink. Something about it felt deliberate, precise. Like it wasn't meant to be found unless someone really looked. Back at his car, Carter unfolded the note again. A small line at the bottom caught his eye. If something happens to me, follow the pattern. He drove straight to the precinct and handed the note to Ryan, his partner and longtime friend. Ryan scanned it. You think this is some kind of code? I think Vanessa left a trail, Carter said. And I think someone's trying to erase it. They ran the numbers through multiple systems, financial, criminal databases, government archives. Most came back with nothing. But one. One led to a deactivated bank account in Vanessa's name. A pattern emerged. Every 3 months, for nearly 8 years, $5,000 was deposited and withdrawn within 12 hours. No paper trail, no sender, no address. Just money. Quiet, regular money. Somebody was paying her, Ryan said. To stay quiet? Or to stay gone, Carter added. That night, Carter visited Elijah again. The boy looked up when Carter entered the room. Did you find her? Carter sat beside him. Not yet. But I'm starting to think your mom knew something. Something important. Elijah's expression shifted. She said people were watching us. She'd always pull the curtains closed. She didn't let me talk to strangers. Did she ever mention a man in a suit? The boy nodded slowly. He came to our building once. She told me to hide in the closet. Did you see his face? No. But he had shiny shoes and talked real quiet. After he left, we moved to a different place. Carter felt a chill crawl down his spine. Whatever Vanessa had gotten into, she'd been running for a long time. Elijah leaned against him. Do you think she was scared? I think she was trying to protect you, Carter said quietly. And now, I think she needs me to finish what she started. Outside, the sun was setting. Inside, Carter made a silent promise. He might not be Elijah's father by blood, but he was the only one standing between this boy and the people trying to erase his life, and that made him family. This wasn't about a case anymore. It was about truth, and about making sure one little boy, who had already lost everything, didn't lose himself too. It was raining when Carter knocked on the door. The neighborhood looked tired. Peeling paint, broken fences, mailboxes leaning like old men in the wind. He hadn't been here in years, not since Vanessa left. Tanya opened the door slowly. Her eyes widened. "Daniel Carter?" He gave a tired nod. "Hey, Tanya, can I come in?" She stared at him for a long second, then stepped aside. "Didn't think I'd ever see you again." The inside of the apartment smelled like coffee and old books. A small dog barked once from the other room, then went quiet. He sat down at her kitchen table while she poured 2 mugs of instant coffee. Black. "I need to ask about Vanessa." Tanya's hands paused over the sugar jar. "She's dead. That's what you're here about, isn't it?" "I know," Carter said quietly. "But I don't think it was an overdose." Tanya's mouth tightened. "Neither do I." Carter blinked. "You believe that?" "I don't have to believe it," she said. "I know what she was like. Vanessa was smart. Scared, yes, but not careless. And she never touched that stuff. She was always running from something, not toward it." "What was she running from?" Carter asked. Tanya glanced toward the window, then lowered her voice. "I don't know. Everything." She never said it all out loud. But there was this man, always in the background, suit, black car, never showed his face. "She ever call him anything?" Tanya nodded once. "The ghost." Carter's skin prickled. She said he worked for someone powerful, someone who could make people disappear without a trace. When she came back after she vanished for that year, she was different, looking over her shoulder, always planning for the worst. She was scared in a way I'd never seen before. "She came back with Elijah?" Carter asked. "Yeah," said he. "Was the reason she couldn't give up. But she never told me who the father was. She just said, 'If anything happens to me, he'll know what to do.'" Carter frowned. "She meant me?" "I think so. She used to carry this photo of you. Kept it in her wallet. Showed it to Elijah every year on his birthday. 'That's your dad,' she'd say. 'Remember his face.' Like she knew someday he'd need to find you." Carter felt the weight of that hit his chest hard. Vanessa had been preparing her. "Son, for this. I thought the DNA test ruled me out," he muttered. Tanya shrugged. "DNA can tell you who made him, but it can't tell you who'll protect him." Carter left the apartment with more questions than answers. Vanessa had been scared of a man in a suit. She'd changed her identity, cut all ties, raised Elijah, like they were in hiding, and now she was dead. That night, Carter sat on his couch, staring at a photo of Vanessa and baby Elijah that Tanya had given him. On the back, written in Vanessa's handwriting, were the words, "Follow the pattern." He pulled out the note from her apartment, the one full of numbers, and laid it beside the photo. And then he started noticing things. The numbers weren't random. Some matched dates. Others looked like coordinates. One line matched a case file. Number from a trafficking investigation Carter remembered from years ago. A case that had mysteriously gone cold. He stayed up all night cross-checking numbers. By sunrise, Carter knew one thing. Vanessa hadn't just been hiding. She'd been uncovering something. The next morning, he visited the medical examiner who'd handled Vanessa's case. Carter flashed his badge and sat across from a nervous-looking man in a white coat. "Walk me through her autopsy." The doctor flipped through his tablet. Female, late 30s, needle marks on the arms, high levels of heroin in her blood. "No. Track record of drug use," Carter cut in. "No, but no history, no paraphernalia. Just drugs in her system and a story tied up with a bow. Doesn't that sound neat to you? The doctor looked down. I don't do the paperwork. I just report what I see. Carter leaned forward. I think you saw something you weren't supposed to. Or someone made sure your notes said what they needed them to say. The man didn't answer, but Carter saw it in his face. Fear. He was getting close. Too close. Back at his car, his phone buzzed. A text from Hannah. You need to get here. Now! Carter pulled up to the CPS center in under 10 minutes. Hannah met him at the entrance, pale and shaken. Elijah's gone. His heart stopped. What do you mean gone? He overheard one of the staff talking about the DNA test. He ran out. We found the back door open. I've called everywhere. Carter didn't wait. He raced to the streets, calling Elijah's name, asking strangers. He checked every block, every alley, every bus stop. Then finally, he saw him, sitting on the steps of the police station, head down, hugging his knees. Elijah! The boy looked up, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. I thought, you wouldn't want me. Carter knelt in front of him. Don't ever think that. Do you hear me? But the test said you're not my dad. Carter put a hand on his shoulder. Maybe not by blood, but you're mine now, and I'm not going anywhere. Elijah nodded, eyes still watery. Behind them, the city moved on. But Carter knew they were being watched. Someone out there wanted to erase Vanessa, wanted to erase Elijah. But they'd have to go through him first, and Carter was done running. The notebook was small. Black cover, frayed edges, held together by a rubber band. Carter found it tucked behind a broken photo frame in Vanessa's old apartment. The place had already been ransacked, drawers ripped out, cushions slashed, even the air vents opened. Someone had been searching for something. But they missed this. He sat in his car with the notebook in his hands, heart pounding. He undid the band carefully, like it might fall apart if he moved too fast. The pages were full of Vanessa's handwriting, neat, sharp, intentional. No fluff, just numbers, symbols, strange patterns, and a single line at the front. If I'm gone, he'll understand. Just give him time. Carter didn't know what to make of it. He flipped through the pages, hundreds of lines of what looked like nothing. Coordinates, math problems, coded messages. He didn't know, but he knew someone else who might. That night, Carter sat beside Elijah in the quiet corner of the CPS safe house. They were tucked away from the rest of the world. A couch, a blanket, a lamp humming in the background. Carter handed the notebook to Elijah. Your mom left this. She hid it. The boy looked at it for a long moment, fingers tracing the edges. Then he opened it and started reading, not like a child reading bedtime stories. No hesitations, no pauses, just fluid, effortless. His eyes scanned the page, then the next, then the next. His breathing changed, slower, deeper, like his mind had switched into another gear. Elijah, Carter said softly. You okay? The boy didn't look up. She made me memorize these. Carter blinked. What? Elijah turned to him. Every night, after I brushed my teeth, she'd give me a new page. I had to say it back to her the next day. She said it was important. That one day it would help someone. Someone like you. Carter stared. All these numbers. You remember them? Elijah nodded. Yes, I don't forget things. I just see them, like a map, or music. It's like I can feel what they mean. He flipped back to the first page. These are coordinates. The ones on page 12. Those were places we moved to. But others, we never went. I think they're hiding. Something. Storage units, maybe labs. I don't know. Carter's brain scrambled to keep up. He had no words for what he was hearing. Elijah, how do you know this stuff? The boy shrugged. I don't know. I just always knew. Mama said my brain was different. She said I was a gift. But some people didn't see it that way. They wanted to use it. Carter leaned in. Who? The man in the suit. The ghost. The name sent a chill through Carter's bones again. He came once, a few years ago. Mama made us leave in the middle of the night. We left everything. He never found us again. But she got scared after that. Carter tried to hide the alarm. In his eyes, this was deeper than he thought. Way deeper. He took a breath. Elijah. I need to ask you something hard. Can you handle it? The boy nodded. Do you think your mom knew she wouldn't make it? Elijah's lip quivered, but he didn't cry. She told me if something ever happened, I had to find you. She said you were strong, that you were good, and that I'd be safe if I was with you. Carter felt his throat tighten. He looked down at the notebook, then back at the boy. And he understood. Vanessa hadn't just raised Elijah, she'd trained him, prepared him, because she knew they were coming. And now Carter had the key, the notebook, and the kid everyone was suddenly hunting for. Later that night, Carter sat in his car outside the station. Rain tapped gently on the windshield. He was staring at a computer screen. The coordinates Elijah identified pointed to something outside the city, a closed-down government site sealed for environmental repairs a decade ago. It was remote, isolated, and off every map. He checked again. No recent logs, no visitors, no records, just a hole in the data, erased. Clean, too clean. He called Ryan, told him to meet the next day. Then he looked over at the passenger seat. Elijah was curled up, fast asleep, head resting against the door, holding the notebook against his chest like it was a stuffed animal. Carter couldn't look away. This wasn't just a child with a sharp memory. This was a child holding secrets too dangerous for any adult to carry. A child some people wanted to erase. But Elijah was no ordinary kid, and Vanessa hadn't left her son behind. She'd handed him off to the only person she believed could protect him. Carter didn't know how. He didn't know why, but she had chosen him. Now it was his turn to choose back. As he watched the boy sleep, Carter whispered to no one, I'm not letting them take him. Not now. Not ever. And in that quiet moment, in a parked cruiser under the rain, a decision was made. Whatever secrets Vanessa had uncovered, whoever this ghost was, whatever Elijah really was, they were going to find out. Together. Because this wasn't about blood. It was about love and trust. And keeping a promise to a woman who had died trying to protect her son. A promise Carter would die to keep. The room was quiet. Too quiet. The lamp buzzed in the corner. Faint rain tapped on the window. Carter glanced at his phone for the third time in 5 minutes. Still no reply. He stood in the hallway outside Elijah's temporary room at the safe house. Inside, the boy was supposed to be sleeping. He hadn't spoken much since reading the last page of the notebook. Something had shifted in him. He'd gone from scared to still. Focused. Like he knew something was coming. So did Carter. His gut had been whispering for hours now. That familiar pull in his chest. A warning. Something wasn't right. He knocked, softly on the door. Elijah. No answer. He opened it slowly. The bed was empty, the covers untouched, the window was open. Cold wind moved the curtains like ghosts. Carter's heart dropped. He turned and sprinted down the hallway, shouting for Hannah. She came running barefoot, eyes wide. What's happening? He's gone. They searched the whole building, every room, every hallway, every exit. Then Carter noticed the lock on the back door. No damage, no force. Someone had a key. That meant this wasn't just a runaway. This was a pickup. He slammed his fist against the wall. We need security footage. Now. In the control room, Carter and Hannah watched the grainy black and white feed. One camera had been disabled entirely, black screen. The others showed little more than shadows. But at 2:14 a.m., just for a moment, they saw it. A van pulling up. Headlights off. 2 men. One entered from the back. The other stayed in the driver's seat, engine running. 3 minutes later, the man came back out, carrying something. Not something. Someone. Elijah. Small arms limp, unconscious or drugged. Then they were gone. The whole operation took less than 5 minutes. Whoever they were practiced, clean, quiet. Carter stared at the frozen image of the van turning off down the street. He didn't blink, didn't breathe. They knew where he was, knew how to get in. Someone gave them access. Hannah's voice was a whisper. But only 4 people knew his room assignment. Carter didn't look away from the screen. Then we've got a traitor. He was already out the door before she could answer. That night, Carter didn't sleep. He drove. Every back road, every motel, every dead lead. He called Ryan. They have him. Ryan's voice tightened. Who? The people Vanessa was running from. The ones she called shadows. Ryan didn't ask questions. Send me the footage. By sunrise, they had a partial plate from the van. It was enough. Enough to trace it. To a warehouse outside town, supposedly empty. Carter and Ryan went there alone. No backup, no radios, too risky. They parked a block away, moved in slow, quiet. The sun was still low in the sky. The air smelled like metal and oil. Inside the warehouse, it was dark, then a sound, soft, broken. Dad. Elijah's voice. Carter froze. He turned toward it, eyes scanning the darkness. Elijah? A spotlight clicked on, blinding white. Figures moved in the shadows. A man stepped forward. Suit, polished shoes, calm smile. We've been expecting you. Carter stared at him. The ghost, older than he imagined. Late 50s, clean-shaven, sharp, dangerous without needing to raise his voice. You've made quite a mess, Officer Carter. Carter's jaw tightened. Let the boy go. The man smiled wider. He's not just a boy. He's the result of a very long, very expensive project, one your friend Vanessa tried to ruin. You murdered her. The man didn't blink. We cleaned up a loose end. It's not personal. She signed up. She just didn't like what she found out. Carter took a step forward. Whatever he is, whatever you think he is, he's just a child. No, the man said, voice cold. He's a weapon, a living archive. His memory is perfect. He knows where the files are, the backups, the names. Every part of the operation we've buried. He's a leak we can't plug. Carter's hand moved toward his holster. You kill him, and everything he knows goes with him. The man laughed lightly. You think this ends with him? We have others. Younger, smarter, obedient. Carter's voice dropped. You think you're creating superhumans, but all you've made are kids with nightmares you can't erase. Behind them, another voice cut through. Elijah's. Not your property. It was Ryan, standing at the second entrance, gun raised. The man didn't flinch, but his guards did. Confusion spread like a crack through the room. Elijah's voice came again, louder this time. You don't understand me. You think I'm just numbers. Just memory. But Mom said. He stood now, behind the ghost, unguarded. What makes me special isn't what I remember. It's what I choose to forget. The lights flickered. Something in the room changed. The men around the ghost hesitated. Carter moved fast. 1 shot, 2, confusion, dust, screams. In less than a minute, it was over. When the smoke cleared, Carter ran to Elijah, kneeling down. You, okay? Elijah looked tired, but his voice was strong. I knew you'd come. Carter pulled him into his chest. I'll always come. They walked out of the warehouse into the early morning sun, knowing the fight wasn't over, but they were still standing, together, and that was enough for now. The sun had barely risen when the agents arrived. Black cars, armed escorts, plane, suits. No words wasted, but it wasn't a raid. It was a rescue. Ryan stood near the warehouse entrance, arms crossed, watching federal agents document every piece of evidence. The site was real, the project had existed, and now it was exposed. Carter sat on the back of an ambulance holding Elijah close. The boy leaned into him, quiet, eyes wide but calm. A blanket draped over his shoulders. Neither of them had said much. They didn't need to. One of the federal agents approached, a woman with a badge clipped to her belt and a tired look in her eyes. "Agent Davis," she said. "We'll take it from here. The boy's safe now." Carter didn't move. "He's not going anywhere without me." The agent hesitated. "There are protocols. I've seen what your protocols lead to." Vanessa didn't trust systems, and she had good reason. Elijah looked up at the agent. "It's okay," he said softly. "I trust him." She looked between the two of them, something in her posture softening. "Then stay with him." "Just keep him safe," she said, stepping back. They didn't go home right away. Instead, Carter took Elijah to a small cabin an hour outside the city. No signals, no noise, just trees, fresh air, and peace. For the first time in weeks, Elijah slept a full night. When he woke up, he started writing, not in the notebook, on blank paper. He wrote everything he remembered: names, places, passwords, locations, every detail of Project Oracle, Vanessa's real story, every place they'd hidden other children. His memory flowed like water, and he did it willingly. "This is how I make it stop," Elijah said one night. "Not by running, by finishing what she started." 2 weeks later, Carter handed the files over to the FBI, the real ones. Not the ones edited to look clean. He made one condition. "You protect the kids, all of them. No labs, no lies, no more secrets." They agreed. And for the first time in a long time, Carter believed someone meant it. The media found out fast. Headlines rolled out like thunder. "Secret child experimentation program uncovered. Feds investigate government ties to Project Oracle. 8-year-old boy key to breaking open nationwide conspiracy." But Elijah never saw the news. He didn't want to. He went back to being a kid. Slowly. He rode a bike again. He played in the dirt. He asked Carter questions about dinosaurs and galaxies, and why pancakes taste better at night. Sometimes the past crept in, quiet, heavy, but Carter was always there to remind him. He was safe now. One afternoon, sitting on the porch of the cabin, Elijah turned to Carter. "Do you think my mom knew it would end like this?" Carter looked up at the sky, then back at the boy beside him. "I think she didn't care how it ended. She just wanted you to have a chance to live free." Elijah nodded, his fingers tracing the edges of the last page of Vanessa's notebook. "Do you miss her?" Carter smiled sadly. "Every day. I miss her too. But when I'm with you, it doesn't hurt as much." Carter pulled him close. "You know, when you ran up to me on the street and called me Dad, I thought you had the wrong person." Elijah looked up. "I didn't. No," Carter said softly. "You didn't." 3 months later, a judge signed the papers. Emergency guardianship became adoption. Carter, age 39, single. Police officer, officially became the father of Elijah Moore. The court clerk asked if he wanted to change Elijah's last name. Carter looked at the boy. Elijah shook his head. "She gave me that name. I want to keep it, to remember. And that was that." Life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became real. Elijah still had nightmares sometimes, about men in suits and locked rooms, about voices demanding he answer questions no child should understand. But he always woke up in Carter's arms, and that was the difference. He wasn't alone anymore. One night, while doing homework, Elijah looked up from his notebook. "Do you think I'll ever be normal?" Carter smiled. "I don't know what normal is, but I do know this. You're brave, you're brilliant, and you've got more heart than most grown men I know. That's better than normal." The boy grinned. "You kind of sound like a dad when you say stuff like that." Carter smirked. "That's 'cause I am one." They both laughed. Elijah never forgot what he was capable of, but he stopped being afraid of it. He learned that being special didn't mean being alone. And Carter? He stopped wondering if he was enough, because being a father wasn't about being perfect. It was about choosing every single day to stay, to protect, to believe, to love. Years later, long after the investigations, after the reports, after the cameras disappeared, Carter and Elijah still went back to that cabin, sometimes in silence, sometimes to talk, always together. And every now and then, Carter would sit on the porch, sip his coffee, and watch his son explore the woods, free, happy, whole. He would think about that rainy night, that strange little boy who ran up to him and changed everything. And he'd whisper the words that had lived in his chest ever since. "You were never lost, Elijah. You were always coming home."